Electric Adventures here with a top 10 video. I haven't actually done a video like this for some time, but my mate Dave, LawnboysPost1975, it would be a couple of weeks ago now, well, it'd be more than a couple of weeks, I am a bit behind on the videos. He started doing a few top 10s, and one of the ones he did was his top 10 favourite games for the PC Engine. And the PC Engine system means a lot to me because it was one of those Japanese systems from back in the day. I used to see the full page ads in the Japanese MSX magazines I used to get, and I went, oh, this is fantastic. I used to pore over the specs in the advertising pages again and again. You could see R-Type there and things like that, and R-Type was one of my favourite arcade shoot-'em-up games at around the same time. So I thought I'd do a top 10 as well. I actually have quite an extensive PC Engine collection. Now the games, my collection is very heavily leans towards the shoot-'em-up side of things, because I do like my shoot-'em-ups, and the PC Engine is very good for the shoot-'em-ups, and that's what I started mostly collecting for the PC Engine from the start. But I have had other games, so there are some non-shoot-'em-up games in this pile I have sitting next to me. Now I'm going to do a top 10, but I'm going to show a game that I had to exclude. So you think, oh, and now I think these are only Hue card games. I actually do have a bit of a collection of CD games now, but I haven't played those enough to appreciate them and put them in any list. So I thought I'd just stick to the original PC Engine Hue card games. Even though there's still a lot of titles that made it a little easier, but I was very sad at the games that I couldn't include in lists. It's the only trouble with a top 10. You always have to exclude games that you like. So this game, the only reason it's not in the top 10 and probably replaces another game in the series is because I haven't had enough chance to play it. And it is, I take it, Adventure Island for the PC Engine. The graphics are absolutely gorgeous, and it is a really good version of and chapter in the series, but I haven't played it enough yet for it to replace one of the other items in my list. So my number 10 item is actually, I think it's Wonder Boy 2. And as I go through these, I'll try and put up a bit of footage so you can see the game and see the graphics. Now this particular game, it has probably the most fonder older memories. I really like the version on the Sega Master System. This game probably doesn't have the best graphics for a PC Engine game, but it still has probably the best graphics for this particular game. And so there we go, number 10. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these either, so let's have a bit of a chat. Now the next one is one of the very first games that I got for the PC Engine. It's not the very first game, but it's one of the first couple of games I've got, and I was surprised at how good it is. It's a simple game, goes back to the old style, and it's Galaga 88. So taking the original Galaga game and adding those extra little nuances that actually make it quite a fun little shooter. And it's unlike the original Galaga, which didn't have a lot of variety as you went through the game. Galaga 88 adds a lot more variety and in between stages and things like that. And I have played this one to death ever since I first got into PC Engine games. Now surprisingly, this number 7 is probably lower in the list than I would have expected when I was compiling the list, but other games beat it out. And it's the only one from the series I have picked. Well, mainly because I'm missing one of the games in the series. So I don't have Soldier Blade. I have Star Soldier, which is actually the very first game I got for the console, and it is Final Soldier. I actually like this the most out of the ones that I have. Haven't been lucky to come across a copy of Soldier Blade as yet. I do try and get my PC Engine games complete, but this version plays really well, and I thoroughly enjoy it. But in a way, another game has replaced it, which we'll see later. Now, next we have another platform game. So, and this game, I don't believe I have ever shown a gameplay video when I actually got it. It took me ages to get a copy of it. And now I see why everybody says it is one of the best versions of the game, and it is New Zealand Story, one of Dave's picks as well. It really is a very solid version of the game, and New Zealand Story is a fun game. The Sega Master System version, which I have as well, plays really well, and also the NES version plays very well, but this one just has that extra little graphical finesse and things like that that makes it a bit more fun to play. So, of the games in this stack of 10, that's probably the one that I haven't put as much time into with other games, just that I love the series, and it's a great platformer. It lets you get into the game a bit without getting too hard. It's related to other games that I used to like back in the day, which are Rainbow Islands and Bubble Bobble, so an excellent recommended one. So next we have, so we're in our top 5 now. We flip back to another shoot 'em up, I'm afraid, and it's the sequel to another game. I had the first game for quite some time, probably about 3 years, and I've probably only had this one for probably about 8 to 9 months, and it is Dragon Saber. So the second chapter in the series. It has really good graphics. And quite a different style vertical shooter than some of the other shoot 'em ups that I have. The weapon upgrade system takes a little getting used to, and you both have ground and air-based enemies that you fight against. I do actually quite like that formula. That goes back to the day of enjoying games like Xevious, and I do actually have Xevious for the PC Engine, and it's a very good version. That's one of the games that almost made it into the list. But Dragon Saber, definitely worth getting, and if you can't find that one, the original game, Dragon Spirit, is still a very good game. They just tweaked it a bit more. This has got a bit more, the end bosses are a bit bigger and there's a little bit more variety in it, but they are very close in gameplay. Now, oh sorry, that was number 6. Now we're in the top 5. As I said, I'm just doing a one record run cut through this. The next is a game in a series of shoot 'em ups that I actually really like. I've been a particular fan of the series for quite some time. I have numerous versions of the games, and I even bought the newest game in the series on the PS Vita. And the series is Darius, and the version I have here is Darius Plus. There is another Darius game for the PC Engine, I believe. Well, there's a boss rush version of this Hue card. I'm not sure whether there's also a CD version of the game that does more as well, but I'll be interested in getting at some stage. So Darius is a horizontal scrolling shooter, and I do actually quite enjoy horizontal shooters. I'm probably 50-50. I like my vertical shooters, but I also do like my horizontal shooters. And yeah, Darius is a good fun series. They're not easy, but you can still get into the game a little bit, but you do have to get used to the particular quirks of the style of shoot 'em up. And that's why pretty much all of these shoot 'em ups, they have slightly different styles, and that's why they're in my top 10. Right, next, and the next game is not a shoot 'em up, and it is an early game that I got for the PC Engine, and it is Alien Crush, which is a pinball game, and it's a pinball game with more. Basically, rather than just having a normal table layout, you have all sorts of goals and things like that, with alien technology that looks, like the Alien movies. You have a play field that has 3 levels, and plus if you get up to the 3rd level, which I don't think I do in my little sample gameplay that I'm showing at the moment, there are little sub-play fields that you can get to. They're good fun games. Also the first game, I believe, I'm not sure if this was the first one or the other one called Devil Crush was the first one. They're both good games. Probably prefer this one slightly more. Don't know whether it's just because it's got aliens in it, but a really good fun title. Right, next. Now, and I've got part 1 here. I also do have part 2, another horizontal scrolling shooter, and the game that I mentioned that I saw in the magazine advertising the PC Engine in the first place. And that is, of course, R-Type. So this is R-Type Chapter 1. Unfortunately, on the PC Engine Hue card, you have to play the 8 different levels on 2 different cards, so you can't really continue a game between the two. By the time the system was released as the Turbo Graphics in the States, ROM production that they could put in the Hue cards was a little cheaper, so they were able to put the whole game on one Hue card. But there is actually a CD version called R-Type Complete, which I don't have yet, and I do want to get at some stage, where you can play the whole thing through. I actually don't know whether they did any enhancements other than that, but it really is the best home version of R-Type that I've played. I haven't played, and I don't think I'll ever get to play the Sharp 68,000 version, because those systems are really hard to, well, get the systems in the first place, and you know, 5¼ inch floppies, not very reliable stuff. So best accessible home version of R-Type, without a doubt, and my 3rd highest game in this list. Now, the next title was actually the title that was bundled with the console in the States as the Turbo Graphics, and it was called Blazing Lasers in the States, but in Japan it was called Gunhead. It is in a lot of ways very similar to the Star Soldier games, which are themselves similar to the Aleste series of games, of which I'm a definite fan, and this is the Aleste type game for the PC Engine, and it really is a great game. Now, it's not a hard game, as most Aleste games allow you to get a fair way into the game without getting too hard, which makes them fun, and it means when you sit down and have a session, you're going to have a reasonable session, but don't get me wrong, they get hard, just like Super Aleste on the Super Famicom. This game, you know, it sneaks up on you and it gets hard, but it does take quite a few levels, at least for me, before it knocks me back a bit. So that's my 2nd highest game. So I wonder what game number 1 is. And it's this game right here. It's a vertical scrolling shooter, which, you know, I do have a bit of favouritism towards, I suppose, and it is Raiden. Raiden is an arcade game that I used to put lots of coins in back in the day. Actually, as I record this, it happens to be the game that has been chosen for the Tuber's High Score Challenge. I haven't played it for a little while in its arcade form, so I'll be interested to see how I go. I'm hoping to get some time to record that this weekend. But the version of Raiden on the PC Engine is truly the most arcade accurate that you can get on a home machine. Probably the next best one would be the Mega Drive one, but this version just nails the aspect ratio and the playability, as a lot of PC Engine games do over the Mega Drive equivalent. I mean, the Mega Drive has speed and extra colours and things like that, but the PC Engine can move a lot more objects around on the screen than the Mega Drive can, and of course both of them eclipse the Super Famicom Nintendo, Super NES, over how many objects it can move. I mean, yes, Super Aleste is a damn fine game on the Super Famicom, but most of the other shoot-em-ups on the Super Famicom suffer from slowdown. Most Mega Drive versions don't suffer from slowdown and play really, really well, but they're not quite as accurate to the arcade. I think it must be something to do with the aspect ratio. I think the PC Engine can display a higher vertical resolution or something, but the games just seem to play better. So And I have rambled a bit on this one so you can see as much gameplay as possible. Cheating there a little bit. But really good game. There is actually a Super Raiden game, so I do not know the difference between this version and that version because I've never played the Super CD version of Raid. Another game I hope to get one day and look forward to when I get a copy. So hope you've enjoyed my top 10 video. As I said, I really haven't done one of these type of videos for quite some time, and I enjoyed well, the process of cutting down to 10 games. I probably didn't enjoy as much because it was very hard to exclude a lot of games. There's a lot of games up there that I would have loved to include in the list, but you've got to cut it down to some sort of a number. What I really enjoyed doing was getting all these games out and giving them a play, and just to record a bit of footage so that you can have a look while I natter away here. Also, make sure you go and check out Dave LawnboysPost1975's channel, and I'll link to his video that this is my semi-response to. Alright, this is, as I said, just a little bit different than I normally do on the channel, rather than just my regular videos, because it was a good fun thing for me to do and I thought you might enjoy it. Alright, I'm Electric Adventures. Thanks to all my subscribers, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.